my 14th talk in the video lecture series Fundamentals of Physics. In this talk, we will discuss the final part of kinematics in 2 dimensions introduced in the last talk. We will take up a few numerical questions and also take up the case of uniform circular motion. In the last talk, I have derived and given you the general projectile expressions for the projection speed u, projection angle theta when the projectile is launched from certain height h. Assuming that the projectile motion occurs under the influence of acceleration due to gravity of earth only, and acceleration due to gravity of earth is constant and independent of altitude, the value standard 9.8 meter per second square and approximate 10 meter per second square can be taken, and it is directed vertically downward. So we have chosen the y-axis in the vertical direction, and the x-axis is so chosen that the motion occurs in the vertical plane, and the horizontal direction involved in the vertical plane of motion is chosen as the x-axis in that direction, with the sense of direction in such a manner that x-axis is at clockwise 90-degree angle to the y-axis, or you can say the y-axis so becomes at positive 90-degree angle from the x-axis. We have discussed the case since the projection velocity is making an angle theta with the x-axis. The projection velocity vector v vector at time t equal to 0 can be written as u cos theta I cap plus u sin theta j cap, but that is called the initial velocity, which is being denoted by the velocity vector u. At any instant you can obtain the expression by integrating the expression of acceleration, and it is given by velocity vector u cos theta I cap plus u sin theta minus gt within bracket j cap, and further integrating you can get the position vector, the x component of which is ut cos theta, and y component is h plus ut sin theta minus half gt square, and the time taken in attaining maximum height is u sin theta by g. The maximum height is given by h plus u square sin square theta whole divided by 2g, not the h but h plus u square sin square theta divided by 2g. The time of flight, the expression was derived and which is shown here, and the range can be obtained from u cos theta time of flight because it's the value of x, and by range we mean horizontal range here. Hm is also sometimes called range as vertical range, and the equation of trajectory is given. This was these expressions were obtained for the general projectile case, and all the cases that which were discussed in the 13th talk and in the talk number 8 can be expression for those cases can be obtained by using this general expression, and this table was discussed that you have to replace u, theta and h by the corresponding quantity shown against their row. For example, the standard case is u theta h, but when you project from the ground, then h should be replaced by 0. Horizontal projectile, the theta will become 0 and u and h will remain same. For projection at a negative angle, the theta should be chosen as negative in the above expressions. And for the vertical upward projection, the theta will be plus y by 2, and vertical downward projection, the theta will be minus y by 2. And if you are making projection from the ground, use the height equal to 0. And the free fall is the special case when there is no projection velocity, and so projection speed is 0. Angle makes no sense because there is no projection velocity. So all the expressions can be obtained in this manner, which we have discussed in the last talk also. Today we take up few examples. Question number 1. It is given a ball rolls off the edge of a horizontal tabletop. Given the height of tabletop from ground to be 1.20 meter, so 3 significant figure, and the horizontal distance of the point where it falls from the edge be 1.56 meter, so again 3 significant figure. Find the time of flight and horizontal speed when it rolls off the edge. and also find the equation of the trajectory. So what is given? H is given, capital H as 1.20 m, range is given as 1.56 meter, and we have to find time of flight, the projection speed, and the equation of trajectory. Time of flight from those expression, because it's a horizontal projectile motion case, so time of flight will be given by under the square root of 2h divided by g. So we substitute the value of h and the value of g, and we evaluate the numerically, then we find that the time of flight turns out to be 0.495 seconds, and I have expressed it here using three significant figures only. The range can also be obtained from the time of flight by multiplying it with the initial speed. So you can obtain the initial projection speed by dividing the range by the time of flight. Range is given as 1.56, time of flight just determined 0.495 seconds. So you get that the projection speed, or when the ball rolls off the edge of the horizontal tabletop, it was having the speed of 3.15 meter per second. And the equation of trajectory, the expression was derived earlier for the horizontal projectile, and the equation is given by y equals to h minus gx square by 2u square, and I have substituted the value and we get this equation y equals to 1.2 minus 0.493 x square. So solving such numerical problems is very easy as explained here. Another two examples. A ball projected from the ground. So projection is now from ground at an angle 30 degree. So projection angle is 30 degree and the initial height of projection is 0 because it is being projected from the ground. Hits the ground at a distance 12 meter away. So range is given as 12 meter. And keeping the same projection speed, at what angle it should be projected so as to hit the ground at a point 13 meter away. So that is the question. Since the expression formula for the range is u square sine 2 theta upon g, so by making two comparison we can write that sine of 2 theta t upon sine of 2 theta 1 will be range of 2 upon range of 1. So sine of 2 theta t is given by sine 2 theta 1 into r2 by r1. R2 which is desired is given as 13, r1 is given as 12, and sine of 2 theta 1 is sine 60, sine 60 you know root 3 by 2, so it is given here root 3 by 2 times 13 divided by 12, and I get the number 0.938, and from that I can find the 2 theta 2 by taking sine inverse of this number. Sine inverse of this number gives me 69.72 degree, and so I get that the theta 2, the angle from which it should be projected so that it hits the ground at 13 meter away, should be 34.86 degree. So next question, question number 3. The ceiling of a pandal is 20 meter high, and what is the maximum horizontal distance that a ball thrown from the floor with a speed of 40 meter per second can go without hitting the ceiling of the hall? And here the information is given up to 4 significant figure, remember. So the expression for the maximum height is u square sine square theta upon 2g, and since it is given that the ceiling is 20 meter high, so hm cannot be greater than 20 meter, and therefore I can determine a corresponding theta maximum. The theta maximum will correspond to the maximum height at 10-20 meter. So I get sine theta maximum as the under the square root of 2g, the maximum value of hm, which is 20 permitted to me in this case, and divided by u square. From this expression of maximum height, hm equals to u square sine square theta by 2g. So I get sine theta maximum equals to 2g maximum of hm upon u square. And when I substitute the value of g 9.8, maximum height given here is 20 because the pandal's height, and u square is 1600. So it turns out that sine theta maximum is 0.495, or theta turns out to be 29.67 degree, and which is less than 45 degree. Had it been greater than 45 degree, then maybe we can project it at 45 degree and will be having the maximum range. But since it is less than 45 degree, So we have to now calculate the range for this particular angle, and u square sine 2 theta by g is determined, and that range turns out to be 140.4 meter. Note that if theta maximum is greater than 45 degree, then the range from theta equal to 45 degree will be the maximum, and if theta maximum is less than 45 degree, then as discussed here, range corresponding to this theta maximum, when it just touches, we assume, the height or the ceiling of the pandal, will be considered as maximum range. And you have noted earlier that if theta equal to 45 degree, in case of projectile from the ground, the range will be maximum. So this question is solved, and the maximum height for theta equal to 45 degree, if you calculate, then you can determine it, and it turns out to be 40.81 meter. So you can't project it at 45 degree to get the maximum range. In this particular case, the numerical problem, specific numerical problem, we have that the theta maximum is 29.67 degree, and if we project at that theta, then the range which we can achieve is 140.4 meter as calculated. One more question, question number 4. You throw a ball from a cliff with an initial velocity of 15.2 meter per second at an angle of 25 degree below the horizontal. So that case is being considered here negative angle, 25 degree below the horizontal. Find its horizontal displacement and its vertical displacement 3 seconds later. So horizontal displacement, as you know, is given by u cos theta time. U is given as 15.2 meter per second. Cos theta cos 25 degree you can determine, which is 0.906, and the time t given 3. So the horizontal displacement will be 41.3 meter. To obtain the vertical displacement, since it is being projected from a cliff, and so the formula will be h minus y will be called the vertical displacement, because initially it is at the height h, and h minus y in case of the projectile which is projected downward, we have determined earlier the formula, and it is equal to u sine theta t plus half gt square. And so I have substituted the value of u 15.2, sine theta 0.423, t equal to 3, and g equal to 9.8, and these numbers are given here, and we could calculate the answer that the vertical displacement will be 63.4 meter and the horizontal displacement is 41.3 meter. Next question. During a tennis match, a player serves at 23.6 meter per second as recorded by radar gun, with the ball leaving the racket 2.37 meter above the court surface horizontally. Again a question of horizontal projectile. By how much does the ball clear the net, which is 12 meter away and 0.9 meter high? Suppose the player serves the ball as before, except that the ball leaves the racket at 5 degree below the horizontal. Does the ball clear the net now? And this question I have taken, and credit is being given to the physics first by Resnick, Khalid and Crane. So the answer to this question is very simple. Using equation of trajectory for the horizontal projectile, which we have y equals to h minus gx square upon 2u square. What is given? You can find the y at x equals to 9 by using the value of h 2.37, the value of u 23.6 meter per second, and the value of g 9.8 meter per second square. So this is typos, meter per second square. So as we write y equals to 2.37 h, then substituting half g x square and u square and evaluating these two number, you find that the y at the 12 meter would be equal to 1.10 meter, and at 12 meter away the net is having height 0.9 meter, so it is 20 centimeter more than that, and hence the ball will clear the net and pass over the other opponent side. But in case, suppose I make a change and make it a case of downward, vertical downward projection with angle 5 degree, then I have to use another different formula for the equation of trajectory, which is given y equals to h minus x tan theta minus gx square 2u square cos square theta. For the projection angle minus 5.0, again you can evaluate. H is given. Tan theta you can determine. Tan of 5 is 0.087, and cos square theta is a very small angle, will be nearly 1, so I have taken 1, and 23.6 square. On substituting the value, I find that the y is 0.06 meter and net is 0.90 meter high, so it would not be able to clear the net. So question solved. Next question. From a helicopter flying at 40 meter per second speed horizontally, a packet is released. So whenever we say a packet is released, it means it has not been given any projection, and so the relative to the helicopter, the speed is 0. But however, since helicopter is moving with the 40 meter per second speed, the packet would be having a horizontal speed of 40 meter per second at the time of release, and it was at that particular moment given 100 meter high. So the question is, at what distance from the foot of the perpendicular from the point of release it will hit the ground. Again, the question is about range. U is given 40 meter per second, h is given 100 meter, u, h are given, and g you know, so you can calculate, and it turns out to be 181 meter. So very simple question. Another question. An artillery cell is fired with an initial velocity of 300 meter per second at 55 degree above the horizontal from ground, but at 55 degree above the horizontal, and it explodes on a mountain side 42 seconds after. So time is given, u is given, and theta is given, and it is being projected from the origin, you can see. And then you have to find that what are the x and y coordinate of the cell where it explodes. So very easy. Again, for using the expressions which we have derived for such a case, x equals to ut cos theta, u is given 300 meter per second, t is given 42 seconds, and theta cos theta I have determined, and it turns out to be that 7230 meter, and I have rounded off because we are having three significant figures here. So similarly, the expression for y can be obtained. Ut sin theta minus half gt square, and you calculate ut sin theta is 0.8194 for theta equal to 55 degree, and the g and half g I have directly written 4.9, and t square 42 square. So you evaluate this number and you can obtain the y coordinate also. So you find that with practice you can very easily solve by using those expressions which I have derived the numerical question. Now, not of a projectile, a general type of question for two-dimensional kinematics. A particle under uniform acceleration is at origin at time t equal to 0 and has this velocity, initial velocity, given by 2.4 I cap plus 3.2 j cap. It has velocity v 3.2 I cap plus 2.4 j cap at time t equal to 4 seconds. Question is, find the value of acceleration. Its x coordinate t equal to 4 seconds and its y coordinate at t equal to 4 seconds. So we know the relationship because it is a case of uniform acceleration. V equals to u plus at, so I get a equals to v minus u by t. V is given, u is given, I have substituted and divided it by t. 3.2 minus 2.4 is 0.8 divided by 4.2, and numbers easily chosen, so again I get 0.2 here. So it is 0.2 I minus 0.2 j. That is the expression for the acceleration. Once you know the acceleration, the x coordinate can be obtained by using the formula general. X equals to x0 plus uxt plus half axt square, and x0 is 0 because from origin at t equals to 0 it was at origin, so x0 and y0 are 0, and I have evaluated and x turns out to be 11, and similarly y also turns out to be 11 in this case. However, the x component of the acceleration is plus 0.2, y component of the acceleration is minus 0.2, and we have used this expression. So such numericals can be very easily solved. Now we consider the case of uniform circular motion. So far we have discussed uniform motion, uniform acceleration, and projectile motion, which was an example of uniform acceleration. This is another special case, and in case of uniform circular motion, the acceleration is not constant and neither the velocity is constant. But what is happening, that the particle is moving with constant speed u in a circular path. So speed is constant, but direction of the velocity keeps on changing, and so the velocity is not constant, and so it is neither the case of uniform motion. And since the velocity, the magnitude, as we will calculate, will remain constant equal to the speed, but the direction of the velocity would also keep on changing, because it will be always along the tangent to the circular path. So the direction of the tangent keeps on changing along the circular path, and so the acceleration will be involved, and acceleration will not be zero. The magnitude of acceleration and magnitude of velocity in such cases will be constant, but the direction of velocity and direction of acceleration will be changing, and so is the position vector when the particle is moving in a circular path. Now, to describe the motion of uniform circular motion, we shall choose the origin at the center of circular path, and let r be the radius of the circular path, and at instant t equal to 0, whatever be its location. So from the center to the location at instant t equal to 0 of the particle, I choose that direction. So that radial vector starting from this origin and ending at the point of location on the circular path. So that radial vector is chosen as x-axis, and y-axis would be appropriately chosen at positive 90-degree angle to the x-axis as explained earlier. At any instant of time, the position vector would be making an angle theta t, theta as a function of time, with the chosen x-axis. So that is what I am describing here now in the picture, that the particle at instant t is here and it is making an angle. If you, so this r is constant radius, the particle is moving in a circular path, the x-axis is chosen at t equals to 0, it must be here, and so we have chosen this direction to be the direction of x-axis and a perpendicular direction to be the direction of the y-axis. The line tangent is shown. The drawing is slightly poor, so it is not exactly looking like 90 degree, but it should be 90 degree angle, and tangent should be more properly drawn than in this picture. So what we know, that since at instant t it is here, so x component at this instant, since it is making an angle theta and this distance or the radius of the circle is r, so you know that the x component will be r cos theta t, x coordinate, and y coordinate will be r sin theta t. So we can write the position vector r at any instant t as r cos theta, which is function of time, times I cap, plus r sin theta j cap, and this means theta, which is a function of time. So what you find in this case, I cap and j cap are our unit vectors which remain fixed, but r is also fixed. So r is constant, I cap and j cap are constant, but theta is function of time. So when you differentiate, the theta would get differentiated. And let me define the rate of change of theta t by dt as angular speed or omega. So we will derive the expression for the velocity from this expression for the position which we have, r cos theta t I cap plus r sin theta j cap. And since the velocity v is given by dr by dt, I differentiate it with respect to time, and by using the property of the distributive property of differentiation over the addition, and I can simplify and do r is constant, differentiation of cos theta of t is minus sin theta of t d theta by dt, and I cap is constant. So r and I cap treated as constant, and differentiation of cos theta t give me minus sin theta t d theta d by dt, and which is omega. And similarly the next term gives me the r and j cap constant, but the differentiation of sin theta t gives me cos theta t d theta by t by dt. And so what I gave, if I substitute for omega d theta by dt by omega, the expression would read velocity vector is equals to r omega times in within the bracket minus sin theta I cap plus cos theta j cap. This is the direction of sin theta I cap minus sin theta I cap cos theta j cap. It's a unit vector and it would be oriented along the tangential direction as shown in this picture. And so you can write that this is u times this unit vector minus sin theta I cap plus cos theta j cap. But u is the initial or uniform circular motion, the speed of the particle which is constant throughout the uniform circular motion. So it's the magnitude of velocity v, and from here what we find that the magnitude of the velocity, because this is unit vector, so magnitude of the velocity is r omega, and which is equal to the u. So r omega equals to u, you can say, or omega equals to u by r. Further, you can check from the dot product that by taking v dot r, when you take v dot r, you get r square cos theta minus sin theta, and from here you get r square sin theta cos theta. So the two terms get cancelled out and you get 0. And thus we have established that the velocity and radial vector would be at 90 degrees. So this is the position vector pointing away. So in the next diagram I am showing it clearly. So the radial vector is pointing away from the center. This is the direction of the velocity, and then we can calculate the acceleration also. And acceleration would be obtained by differentiating velocity with respect to time, and d by dt of that velocity expression I have written. U, the speed is constant, so only the differentiation of sin theta and cos theta, which is function of t, would take place, and I have done it. So differentiation of sin theta t will give me the cos theta t and my d theta t by dt, which I have directly written as omega, and that of cos theta would give me minus sin theta t and differentiation of theta t with respect to t, so that I have already written here omega. And so what we get minus u omega cos theta I plus sin theta j, which is again the r unit vector, the unit vector in the radial direction, and so this is minus u omega r unit vector. So we find that the acceleration is minus r unit vector, so acceleration would be acting towards the center, and such a acceleration is called centripetal acceleration, towards the center in case of uniform circular motion. In other words, we can say that uniform circular motion is the case where acceleration is not equal to 0, but acceleration is directed radially inward and is given by this formula. Acceleration magnitude is equals to u square by r, which is constant, but the direction of the acceleration throughout the motion would be towards the center of the circle. So in case of uniform circular motion, u is constant, r is constant. Here I have forgotten to replace v by u, so replace it u. So it's a magnitude of the velocity which is being denoted here as v. So speed square upon radius is the magnitude of the acceleration, which is called centripetal acceleration or sometimes circular acceleration. All the expressions have been summarized here in this picture. You have the expressions for x, y coordinate, r, velocity and acceleration expressed in terms of radial unit vector. So you can make use of these expressions in doing questions of uniform circular motion. Now to conclude the discussion about the uniform circular motion, we can also describe it in an alternative manner by using a 3 dimension. So one direction which we have chosen is the direction of the radial unit vector. In another direction, which is the direction of velocity vector, which we call tangential unit vector, tau can be chosen, and there can be, I can choose another vector direction theta cap, which I am denoting, and this theta cap would be such that the tau unit vector is obtained by theta unit vector into cross r unit vector. So by using the cross product we can ensure, so we can describe the problem also in 3 dimension, but however in this case of uniform circular motion, since particle remains confined, so to position of the particle can be described by 2 coordinate, the coordinate called position coordinate, radial coordinate r, which is constant, and the angular coordinate theta, which is changing with time. So r and theta t. So you can write the r as r, the magnitude, and which is constant, and r cap. You can write the angular velocity now as a velocity and with the magnitude equal to the angular speed omega defined earlier, and theta cap as the direction in which the angular velocity is. So the direction of angular velocity will be perpendicular to the plane of uniform circular motion, because it is perpendicular in a sense to both the velocity direction and position direction because of this definition. And so when I determine omega cross r, for example, then omega cross r, omega is omega theta cap and r is r cap. So what I get, omega r theta cross r cap, but theta cross r cap is the tangential direction, so ut, so omega cross r is nothing but the velocity. So in other words, we can define the angular velocity by this relationship v equals to omega cross r for uniform circular motion, which we will later discuss rotational kinematics and generalize the definition of angular velocity on this basis of this example of uniform circular motion. So with this, I conclude today's talk on kinematics in 2 dimension and uniform circular motion. In the next talk, we will take up kinematics in 3 dimension and relative motion. I hope that you are liking my lectures. Please click the like button. To subscribe my YouTube channel, click the subscribe button, and to get notification, click the bell icon. Thank you for being with me in this series of lectures.